Brains. Welcome to the show, Dominic McDonough, who is a Conservative councillor in Sunderland. Dominic, hello.
Hello there, good afternoon.
Welcome to the show, Thomas Moss from the Young Conservatives Network. Thomas, hello.
Hello there.
And welcome to Phoebe Arslanagic-Wakefield. And Phoebe is a senior research fellow at the Conservative think tank Bright Blue. Phoebe, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ayesha.
Dominic, I'm going to come to you first. Who are you looking for? What are the qualities that you're looking for in your next leader? And is there anybody so far that is catching your eye?
Well, I mean, I would have backed John Barron, but he's just revealed that he doesn't watch Love Island, so that's him out for me. No, I mean, the big thing for me is we need someone who can unite the party. We need someone who's going to be strong, come in and do what they say they're going to do. For me, Penny Mordaunt is out there in front at the moment. I think Kemi is also a good candidate. But just speaking to people sort of on the doorstep and activists at a grassroots level, Penny Mordaunt is the one who's coming out, miles above anyone else at the moment. She's got good experience. She used to be, in the MOD. She used to be Minister for Defence. And she's kept herself out of this drama a little bit. And I think that's going to help. We've got Rishi in there who, it just looks like he's been playing games. He's been fiddling while Rome burns, to be honest with you. And I think that's going to put a lot of activists off.
And do you think that will put activists off other candidates that look like they've been playing games? And we had Jackie Doyle Price on earlier, and she was asked for her villain of the week. She said Nadeem Zahawi because of all of his game playing. Do you think other people might think the same?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the grassroots do value loyalty, to be honest. And I think there's been a lot of game playing going on in the background. I mean, this is politics and it does happen. We know that. But it's been pretty brutal. And I think the grassroots don't appreciate that. So I think someone who's a little bit away from that, I think that's why Ben Wallace was doing so well, because he was just getting on with his job. But obviously he's not going to stand now. But I think Penny Mordaunt is definitely the one to watch.
Interesting. Phoebe, same question to you. What qualities are you looking for, and who's turning your head right now to carry on with the Love Island? And I need to step away from the Love Island analogies.
Well, I think Dominic's right that a candidate who can heal internal divisions in the party is very, very important. But at Bright Blue, we're also hoping to see someone come to the fore who's in favour of greater fiscal, social, political and environmental responsibility. Someone who understands that the move to net zero is a long-term good for the economy as well as the environment. Someone who wants a strong welfare system post-COVID that can weather the cost of living crisis. It's a really busy field at the moment. I think that's a really good thing. It gives the Conservative Party a chance to debate with itself, to ask itself difficult questions about what it is and what it wants to be. And we're going to be watching with interest to see who ends up in the final two.
And so you haven't sort of settled on anyone at the moment?
No, we haven't. And people are starting to sell out their stalls and make their pitches, though it's quite policy light thus far. I mean, looking, for example, at Kemi Badenoch's pitch in the Times this morning, interesting article, been quite well received by Conservatives so far, but actually quite light on policy. And so policy vision, a unifying policy vision that they can take to the public at the next general election, that's a standard by which that will be really judging possible candidates to replace Boris.
And what do you think the sort of policy contours are going to look like? Because obviously cost of living is absolutely huge. It's the number one issue, and things are probably going to get much worse before they get better. Is it primarily going to be economic? What about things like net zero, which actually could end up being quite important in this election as well? And how much do you think there's going to be a desire for continuity, Boris Johnson, in terms of some of the policies, and something new?
Well, just in terms of continuity of Boris Johnson, I think the way in which, the very undignified and unpleasant way in which Boris's political career, certainly his tenure as Prime Minister has come or almost come to an end, has perhaps meant that there will be fewer people who want to position themselves as the continuity candidate or indeed be heavily associated with them as they make their pitches. You're certainly right that whoever becomes leader, whoever becomes Prime Minister, they're going to have some really serious economic challenges to deal with. And there isn't necessarily consensus on what the right thing to do is within the Conservative Party itself. I mean, many Conservatives are very unhappy that their party has presided over rises in taxes, including the increase in national insurance. The UK's tax burden is now at a 70-year high. So I think that's one potential line of division, policy-wise, economically, that we're going to see.
Interesting. Now, Thomas, I'm going to come to you next. I'd just like to say, Pippa, you've made my day. Pippa is obviously going with the Love Island thing. Pippa's messaging saying, I think Ekin-Su has a strong chance of winning the tour. Do you know what? If Ekin-Su was in the race, she'd absolutely storm it, I have to say. I did actually do a tweet at one point saying Ekin-Su is the Boris Johnson of Love Island. So there you go. Thomas, what about you? What are you looking for? What are young Conservatives looking for?
Well, I think we need someone not only that can, like we were talking about Boris Johnson, the way that he left, whatever we think about his time as Prime Minister, his policies of actually levelling up the nation is something that I would like to see continue and actually be enacted. Like to be able to find someone who can unite the party in a way that can keep the voter base, that can ensure that we don't have in the South people turning to the Liberal Democrats, but also people in the North not going back to the Labour Party that they used to vote to. We need a candidate that can look at both sides and be able to get all parts of the country to consider their case going forward. If we can have someone that can ensure that we can actually invest in areas that have been ignored and can actually bring some honesty and some integrity back to politics. Like I know people who liked Boris Johnson at the start, who were the first time that they ever voted for them in my family, but are so disappointed in the past 3 years on how honesty, integrity has disappeared. So it's not necessarily the policies of Boris Johnson I don't think should disappear. It should be the character in which he was there as Prime Minister.
And is there anybody that's catching your eye, Thomas?
I've always liked Liz Truss. If Liz Truss put her hat into the ring, I would happily support her. There are some that I wouldn't support. I wouldn't support Rishi Sunak. I think being a chancellor for 3 years, putting up taxes to now argue in favour of low taxes is quite laughable, to be honest. I don't mind Penny Mordaunt. I don't mind Sajid Javid either. There are a couple I don't like, but Liz Truss, if she announced to run, would be the one that I would support.
Okay. Well, stay with us. We have a really interesting panel of Conservative councillors and activists and think tankers who are just mulling over what they're looking for in terms of the next leader. And of course, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest videos and clips from Times Radio, don't forget to follow us on your favourite social media platform. We post videos and all the best moments from our interviews on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can find us by searching for Times Radio, so do check us out and do give us a wee follow as well. This is Weekend Drive on Times Radio with Ayesha Hazarika, sponsored by Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management. You can find out more at candowealth.com.
In Rioja, we produce Spain's finest wines. It's a legacy 2,000 years in the making, and it remains part of our way of life to this day. Now we want to share our obsession with excellence with a new generation of passionate wine enthusiasts across the UK. Rioja Wine is looking for lovers of wine, food and travel to join an exclusive collective of social media influencers as one of our first Rioja mates. Your mission? To help spread the word about our pioneering growing region and huge diversity of mouth-watering wine styles. Apply to become a Rioja mate today and get everything you need to create inspirational and educational social media content about Spain's most prestigious export. You'll get regular shipments of Rioja, free online wine education, and access to exclusive dinners and tastings. Plus, the two best performing Rioja mates will win a once-in-a-lifetime road trip to stunning Rioja country. Have you got what it takes to be a Rioja mate? Apply now at riojawine.com. Rioja, Spain's finest. Applicants must be 25 or over. Terms and conditions apply.
Ayesha Hazarika on Times Radio.
Welcome back to the discussion. We have Phoebe Arslanagic-Wakefield from the Conservative think tank Bright Blue. We have Thomas Moss from the Young Conservatives Network and Dominic McDonagh, who is a Conservative councillor in Sunderland. Just in terms of the process, got a couple of minutes left. Dominic, how important is it for the grassroots members to have their say? I mean, there was some talk about maybe there would be an expedited process and, members wouldn't get their say. I mean, I presume it's really important for the members to get their say.
I think it's incredibly important for members to get their say, because what you've got to remember is we're on the ground, we're the grassroots, we're the people who are knocking on doors, who are putting leaflets through doors. We're the closest level of government, certainly the councillors, we're closest level of government to the people. So we're the ones who are actually speaking, we're trying to push their policies out, forward. So we definitely have to have a say, and we're really looking forward to it as well. And it's going to be great to have that process, have that debate. We need to be included.
And Phoebe, how can activists make sure that their policy issues are put onto the agenda, so there is a policy discussion, so it's not just a personality discussion?
I think the crowded field really helps with that. There isn't a clear favourite. Whoever is going to end up in the final two, they're going to get there by fighting it out, by debating it, by having really difficult discussions, including on policy. I think members will be looking for something of a political rejuvenation from the Conservatives, and that's something the Conservatives are very good at. Part of that has to be, I think, rehabilitating the image of sleaze that the Conservative Party has recently acquired, particularly thinking about Chris Pincher and that message that sends about the party's values. Many Conservative members are deeply, deeply uncomfortable with their party being associated with that sort of behaviour, and they'll be looking, I think, to support a candidate who, as John Barron was saying, has integrity and can leave that sort of thing firmly behind in the past.
And Thomas, how do young people get their concerns on this agenda as well? Because sometimes when we do have Conservative races, people are tending to think about the older Conservative voter, and young people are having a really, really hard time as well. How does the youth agenda get on the agenda?
Well, not only is it important that we do actually have it to go to the members, because I remember when Theresa May got coronated, there was some anger in the party that we didn't actually get a choice at the time. To be able to go to the hustings, to be able to ask the questions to the candidates on any range of issues is really important. But it's also the fact that, one of the main issues that is important to me and people that I know is housing. And if we can have candidates that actually talk about house building, which is one of the main things that matters to young people, then that will be something that young people will actually be really important to actually have discussed at the time.
And of course that means, looking at things which have been historically quite difficult, things like planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the planning reforms that Boris actually announced, I actually quite agreed, but they got sidelined in the end, I think probably because of the Liberal Democrats winning some of the marginals in the south, such as Cheshire and Amersham, because of house building. I understand that we have to also, we have areas where people do not want houses built in their backyard. I understand that. But we also have to understand that to get on the housing ladder now to 30, 40 years ago is ridiculously hard. Okay. And that is something that really should be at the forefront of the campaign. If the candidate wants to get the support of young people, they do a good pledge on house building and reform of planning reforms, I think the young Conservative vote could actually get behind them.
Well, listen, we've come to the end of our discussion. Thank you so much. A really, really thoughtful, interesting discussion with lots of good Love Island references. What more could you want? My huge thanks to Phoebe, to Thomas and to Dominic for their time. Stay with us. We've got plenty more. We're going to be chatting about what business feels about the leadership contest, and we'll have our comedy panel, including Rory Bremner.